Welcome to the Librarians of the Citadel, Season 8, Episode 2, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms recap. So we started right off the bat with the trial of Jamie. No preamble, just right into it. And Dany was clearly feeling her dragon, feeling very, very vengeful. Discussion about all the things her and Viserys used to plot against the man who had killed their father. A lot of tension between her and Tyrion in this scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and when they realize they've been betrayed by Cersei, Dany has continued her frustration from last season, where he underestimates his family or seems to go easy on his family, has continued. But Jaime has fully switched sides. He gives up Cersei's secrets, like the Golden Company and the Euron Alliance, the exact numbers of her army, without even being prompted. He's just like, she's got 20,000, like the Golden Company's here.
But I didn't expect anything but that. Like, I thought we had already established that.
But he's not even hesitating. He's clearly just jumped. But we did see for the first time, and maybe the last time, Sansa and Dany in like full agreement with each other for a little bit about Jaime can't be trusted. He committed a lot of acts of war against the Starks. And then we get Bran with a callback to season 1, episode 1, the things we do for love.
Which is great, because in the beginning, the previously on Game of Thrones, they played that. If you watch that, the previously on beginning, they played that little clip. So like, if they hadn't played that little clip, I don't know how many of you rewatched that episode recently, but I hadn't. So if they hadn't replayed that, then I wouldn't have picked up on it. So thanks for replaying it, Game of Thrones.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Brian stands up for Jaime. It's a great moment, and they kind of secretly love each other, right? We all believe that, right?
With those two, it's hard, but it may not even be that secret.
Yeah, well, and they clearly have like mutual respect for each other, but it seems even deeper than that.
It was sort of their episode.
It was their episode. Well, it was named for Brienne, and that's the first time she's ever had like that kind of prominence in an episode. It was literally named for her.
So she'll probably die next week.
I know. It's really I'm very worried about her.
Her storyline is basically finished.
I think they just wrapped her up in a nice little wash.
And she's leading the army.
She's leading the left flank, guys.
And you saw the next week on Game of Thrones, and she's like,
she's leading the charge.
It's not good.
Her scene
cry. I mean,
there may be other complications that are not the people we're thinking are going to die.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're giving us some big clues about who's going to die.
This whole episode was like, here's a walk down memory lane, and why you love all these characters.
I actually found it sort of distracting, because I did find myself doing that, being like, okay, I need a little checklist. Doesn't look like they'll live next week. Probably not.
So, Brian's word is all Sansa needs to change sides and start, say that Jaime should. But Jon, who was very quiet for the whole first part of the scene, as soon as Dany turns to him, and I think she's looking for some backup, he's immediately like taking Sansa's side. And we need all the fighters we can get.
Just found out.
He's pushing her.
He's being cold, though.
He was being very cold.
He should at least be warm to her in this, because she's not going to take it well either.
I mean, I think he's too in his feelings. If there's anything we know about Jon Snow as a character, it's he's very in his feelings. So he's the most broody character on the show.
And he always tells the truth.
Yes.
So I thought. He was terse but professional. I mean, he didn't.
Yeah, but there was clearly some distance, and she was looking to him, and even the way he got up and walked immediately away.
It was a lot.
Which I loved.
She was shocked.
I loved it.
Setting us up.
Yeah, she was very confused.
I loved it when Jon was an all warm and fuzzy to Dany, because I don't like her.
well, Dany
may be
was
joining you.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah,
jump on my ship, guys. Come on.
Dany threatens to appoint a new hand at the end of the scene, and it's kind of justified. Tyrion is pretty sure he will get a demotion when that's over. And we go to Gendry and Arya in the Forge. Arya is watching Gendry with thirst eyes. Like,
thirst eyes.
Thirst eyes. Like, it was intense. She was like counting the drops of sweat on his brow. She
Oh.
was intent. But she wants her weapon, and Gendry really still has no idea at this point who Arya is, and he's encouraging her to stay in the crypts, which is not where you want Arya at all.
Wait, he doesn't know she's a Stark?
No, he doesn't know that she's a warrior.
I'm like, wait, what? She doesn't know.
He has no idea that
warrior
she's like
part.
this elite fighter. He's
Nobody
like,
does
stay in the
though.
crypts.
But nobody knows that about
I'm getting
Arya.
really stressed about these crypts.
Yes.
Because they're sending everyone.
They're
down
sending,
there.
and I don't know if you remember this from season,
That's where
I think it's
all the-
season 2.
Yeah.
There's a back entry to those crypts. And I'm hoping that, because Maester Luwin's not at Winterfell anymore, but that's how Bran and Rickon escaped, was they went
Bran
through
would
the
know.
crypt.
Bran
They-
would know.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that somebody's keeping that in mind, that there's more than one way into these
Bran's
crypts.
not down in the
Everyone
I know,
is
but
going
Bran,
down there.
Yeah.
Bran would at least,
But Bran's not Bran anymore, like is he,
Oh,
Well,
but
he
he
would-
knows.
but he knows.
I hope so.
everything.
I hope so.
Yeah.
but the entire, yeah, you're right, like the real like, the way that they're sending everybody to these crypts was really, I was like, guys, there's a back entrance. Somebody
Yeah.
mentioned the back entrance.
Yeah, it's not gonna be good.
Yeah, it's not great.
What if everybody in the crypts die?
That's
I mean, I
what
think
I'm
that's a
saying.
possibility.
Yeah.
I think that's a
Tyrion
possibility.
will
They're
be-
gonna
I don't
throw
think
everyone
Tyrion's
in there
gonna
and they're
stay
gonna
in the
raise all of them. And
Children.
No, I think,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
If
Game
they
of Thrones is
haven't-
not shy about killing
Yeah,
children.
They've done it
So,
before.
they've done it a lot.
Yeah.
Remember Shireen on the, yeah.
Remember last
Oh,
episode?
and then the little girl that came too with the grayscale
Yeah.
talking to Davos.
There was a
She was gonna
callback.
defend
Yeah.
the crypt.
Yeah.
You could tell he was
It's not
having
gonna end
feelings.
well for her.
I hope Tyrion doesn't stay down there. I don't think he will. I think Tyrion will.
He's
not
been
take
given
the
orders
crypt.
by his queen though. I don't know.
Yeah, but
And-
he's been given
And
orders
she's
before,
already
but
so mad with him at this point too.
Yeah.
that
I don't
I
know.
don't think he wants to step that.
I don't
back
see him
there.
staying down there.
He had a long talk with Bran, which we don't know
Yes.
the content of.
We
so,
don't know the content of that.
So that was interesting.
That was really
There may
interesting.
be- yeah, but I think isn't Sansa supposed to be down in the crypt? So Samuel
Yeah.
and Sansa and
Samuel's not going down to the crypts.
But in the
I thought he was.
No, he remember Dolores said, and he said that he needed to fight because he killed the
Oh,
Fen,
yeah.
he killed the
He
White
said you
Walker.
made
He
it.
gave
You're
the
right.
sword
But then
because
he
he
gave
can't
the sword.
because he can't wield it, but that he didn't say that he was going to the
Oh,
crypts.
Yeah, he said
because
the
that
sword's
was where
too-
he got
too
him.
tall
Heavy,
for
he
him.
can't
Yeah.
he can't hold it upright.
So
But
we can't.
we also saw in the preview, Sansa was with Arya on the.
Sansa might fight. Did anyone
She-
say she's
I
going to
don't-
the crypts? Did they say
I think they mentioned it.
I don't think we're gonna start like battle right away. I think we're gonna start with like people going to their positions and then we'll start with that.
I don't think we explicitly heard Sansa being in the crypts though. I really don't.
I would imagine as the Lady of Winterfell though, she would be there. Like remember in the Battle of Blackwater how she was with she was the one who was raising everybody's spirits and making them. I think we're gonna get a lot of callbacks because to Battle of Blackwater in particular, we already got one with the song.
Which is why I don't
Yeah.
think Tyrion is going to stay in the crypts.
I don't think he. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell. But back to the Forge. We did get Arya's "I Know Death" speech from the trailer, which was awesome, and we got it while she was throwing these blades. And
Which
Gendry
impressed Gendry.
suitably, he was very impressed. I will get right on that, lady. I will make your weapon.
Which she should have been doing anyway though, because she's, a star.
Yeah.
No, but I
But
think that was an important point.
Yeah.
He was going to do it for her, but it was at the bottom of his to-do list.
Right, because he has a big quota.
But she has
Yeah.
some clout, like she's in
Yeah,
power, her
but-
family's in power. So
but-
like if Arya says I want my weapon, you make her her weapon.
But he's not in service to her, and he has like a quota of stuff that he's supposed
he
to
has,
make with
I
that
mean,
dragon.
he appears to have been working nonstop
Yeah.
since he arrived, so.
So we go to Bran and Jaime in the Weirwood. Jaime apologizes to Bran, and he wants to know why Bran didn't tell everyone that Jaime was the one who pushed him out the window and paralyzed him. Bran continues being like the weird three-eyed raven that he is, and it says something like, "Oh, because then you can't help us in the war to come." But he said it in kind of like a weird way, where I was like, "Is Jaime gonna do it?"
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Yeah, is he gonna do something heroic that's necessary and then die? Because then Jaime was like, well, what happens after? And Bran's like, what makes you so sure there's going to be an after?
Right. For any of them.
Yeah,
What if they
for
all
any of them,
die?
but I thought that was like kind of
Jaime.
Jaime. Yeah, Jaime specific.
Bran must know things that he's not sharing.
I'm sure he does.
Although, maybe you can clarify this with your knowledge of the books. I've read that Bran is not supposed to have glimpsing abilities. That it's as a thread raven, he can see all the past anytime. but he's not a prophet. He doesn't.
Yeah,
see
I think
the future.
like he's not the three-eyed raven yet in the books, so I can't really speak to that.
That's-
It's beyond.
I've just been curious.
Yeah, but I think that Bran in the show he can see the future as insofar as the past informs the future. So like he could tell them if Dragonfire worked against the White Walkers if somebody used it in the past, like so that kind of
Right,
stuff.
well, that's
but,
knowledge anybody
yeah,
would have.
but that's not
But
knowledge
he
anybody
did-
could
but
have
as
because
a
nobody else
small
can see
child,
back to
remember
thousands of
when
years.
He was a
Well, yeah,
child, he
but,
did
like, if-
have those dreams.
Yeah,
There were a few dreams where he did seem to be like.
he had a
Jojo.
little bit of premonition. Yeah, he had the green genes. Yeah, so I think he does have a little bit, but I don't think it's
It's not a primary.
It's not a
They're
primary
playing
function.
it down anyway. I
Yeah.
mean, if he knew it was going to happen,
or
he
it could just be
say,
that he can see
Put it up.
possibilities.
Yeah.
You know, like, or, you know, this might be how this would work if. So there might be pieces he wants to move. Because there are ways that he is manipulating the future. Like he told Sam when John needed to know. Like that was something that he manipulated that. And there might have been a reason why he felt like he needed to put a little division between John and Danny. Like maybe he doesn't think that there's something from the past informing the future. He doesn't think they should be together. You know, so I think he is kind of moving pieces around on the board. I don't know how much he knows or if he can just see possibilities. But then we get Tyrion and Jaime in the courtyard. They're clearly not welcome in the North. Jaime says that Cersei is really pregnant, and I was like, but would you know? Like, could she be lying to you too? But does it matter?
Well, I mean, we had the scene where she told him, which was after Pycelle, not Pycelle, who's dead.
Qyburn.
You know, so it did appear to be like a confirmed medical condition, but that doesn't mean she's still pregnant.
Right. But does it? Do we think it matters if she is?
Yeah, I don't think.
Well,
Because
Jamie
we don't.
it would.
We only have 4 episodes left though, and Jaime and Tyrion might both die in the next
You
episode.
have no
So is it
idea
gonna
what's
matter
gonna
here?
happen though. Like,
Yeah, but
it has a big role.
do we think it will matter? Like,
Well,
does
it's
there's a room in the plot for it?
manipulation because she got Tyrion to support her and believe her,
Yeah.
I think, because of the
So you think maybe it served its purpose in having the manipulation in the last season, like as a
I
plot
don't
point?
know. I still feel like
Oh,
It's still red.
it is still red.
Is it this area of the library?
No, it's a feature of.
Well,
this
we've been using
technology.
the hotspot, right? Or did we not use that this time?
I don't think we use hotspots.
We have to use it. We have problems with
In the
connecting
history
it.
room? Is it the Wi-Fi?
Is it?
Okay.
Okay. Sorry for that brief interruption. So maybe it served its purpose. Maybe it will serve like another purpose, like maybe tie Euron close to her or something.
And maybe, I mean, of course, last week she assigned Bronn to kill both her brothers. So maybe that's supposed to be a revelation to us, like she's no longer pregnant or Jaime's expendable.
I think we're gonna hear more
I know.
about it.
There's-
They're
I
not
mean,
just gonna drop that plot line.
I feel like we're gonna have the battle this week, and then
Next
it's
week's
gonna be
down to King's Landing.
Cersei heavy at some
Yeah.
point.
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
And then
this
we'll
entire
come back.
episode took place at Winterfell. There was no other
And
scenery in this
it
episode, and the
seems like
next
next
one
week
is
also.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
imagine it is. Yeah.
And then right from there, it's gonna go down to King's Landing.
Yeah.
And the last 3 episodes are gonna be.
Yeah. I would imagine
So
that
I've heard
yeah. Episode 3 kind of lands like maybe not on a cliffhanger, but on a they're defeated, forces are scattered, you don't know where to go, and then we have a King's Landing episode,
Right.
and then like it's
It
episode
could be
4,
just the
like
rest of the
5.
season.
It could.
I-
happens in King's
That's
It
what
could
I
be.
think.
Because it's like split between Winterfell and
And then King's Landing.
Yeah.
Which is how the
Things
new
happen in
the new
Winterfell.
credits are.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
The new credits now it's really just down to
the 2
except
locations.
last
Yeah.
part.
And if
No.
if
Yeah.
Tyrion does die in Winterfell, I hope he does. 'Cause he's
Yeah,
gonna come
yeah.
back.
Well, that's what he says. But so one of the things that was interesting that Tyrion said to Jaime was he called Jaime out because Jaime's like, oh, she fooled me. I didn't know. Like she and Tyrion says, no, she never fooled you. You always knew exactly what she was, and you loved her anyway. And I think that was important because Jaime liked to pretend like he was ignorant to her, but I think he always knew. Yeah.
Oh, of course he knew.
There was more
He loved
callbacks.
her.
Yeah, he did love her. There are more callbacks to season 1 with Tyrion's speech about how he wants to die, because that was a speech he gave in season 1. I think he gave it to John, maybe. I don't remember. He gave it to somebody.
Tyrion wanted to die?
How he wants to die at age 80 with a
Oh.
belly full of wine.
Oh, he gave,
Oh, yeah.
he gave,
That's a,
I forget who the speech was in season 1, but then he gave that to Jamie yesterday.
Yeah, he did, yeah. So it was a callback to season 1, and then Jamie misses Tyrion's remark about turning into a white and going down to King's Landing because Jamie's watching Brienne in the field. And Brienne is down there training her troops. We've learned she has command of the left flank, so she's going to be very much featured and very much in danger in the next episode. A little bit scared for Podrick Payne, who's training.
Mm-hmm.
A little worried about
He's
him.
so
gone.
disposable. I'm not worried about him at
I
all.
like Pod. He's one of my favorite secondary characters.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like
He's
secondary.
tried so hard.
tertiary
He's
characters.
Yeah.
But Brian is really, I thought she was really funny in this. She's like, what are you doing? You're like, how come you're talking to me and you're not being mean, you know? And Jamie asked to serve under her command, which was like such a show of respect for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course, she had saved his life.
Yeah.
Oh, they
But
have a bond.
Yeah.
Well, I really didn't, I really had suspected that was one of the reasons he went to Winterfell.
Absolutely, yeah. And he kind of as much says that, like, I came to Winterfell to ask you if I could serve under you.
Right.
Yeah. And then we go to Jorah and Dany, and Dany's having second thoughts about her choice of hand. She kind of thinks that she gave Tyrion Jorah's position, which is maybe somewhat true. And Jorah is there to impart some sage-like advice.
Right.
And he stands up for Tyrion and his intelligence. And Dany is really very dependent on the advice of those closest to her,
Yeah.
because her instincts, her instincts are kind of more towards the Targaryen ruthlessness. Sometimes she has a temper, and I think when Jorah or Sir Barristan, who's no longer with us, or Tyrion gives her
it's
counsel,
clear.
she's really receptive
She
to it.
She knows because she needs it, because otherwise she's clueless.
Her biggest success
That's not
was
true. And it's also a great trait to show that someone in a leadership position
Yeah.
really cares about what
That's good, Shane.
her.
No, it is though, because
I know that.
for her to have the ability, because she could just burn cities down and do whatever she wants,
Which
but
she
she
would.
is
Doesn't.
receptive.
Yeah.
But she would without them.
But I think,
She might
a
have.
lot of
She might have been better off though if she had. If she
Yeah.
had gone in and killed and burned down.
Why
cities.
would she have been
Her position would be better off because she wouldn't be worried about Cersei right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of
The White
her
Walkers
better
will still be there, though.
accomplishments were with the counsel of
Right.
Jorah, and
Yeah.
then some of the worst mistakes that we know she's made have been when she didn't listen to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although then of course it's very Tyrion's mess ups last season are very problematic.
Yeah, well, they are very problematic, and Dany is capable of making like really good strategy decisions on her own. Like when she pretended to broker Drogon in order to get the Unsullied,
Yeah.
that was Dany, and Jorah and Sir Barristan actually undermined her, and were like, you can't barter your dragon, and she turned around and was like, a dragon is not a slave. Dracarys and took the Unsullied.
So she knew what she
Yeah,
was
and,
doing.
or even the when she took Marine and they passed the dead children on the way there, and she told them to take the collars, and when she spoke to the slaves, she gave them the collars because she knew that would be something that moved them. So she has a certain kind of intelligence when it comes to conquering and strategy and stuff like that. I think when it comes to actual ruling in politics, that's when she needs.
And dealing with people.
Well,
Yeah.
she's also been away for so long too, so
Yeah.
she's not familiar with that, and
Yeah.
she's talking
Which
to people
she
that
knows.
are.
Yeah.
She is very aware of that, which
Yeah.
again, that's an admirable trait.
So one of the things that Jorah obviously advised her to do was go talk to Sansa. So we had I thought a good
That
little
was the
scene.
best.
That was a good,
Yeah.
It was going well until Sansa messed it up.
Sansa messed it up.
I know.
Yes, she
You
did.
and I are at odds now. Okay, first of all,
Sansa was
first of
trying
all,
so hard.
Sansa is the queen of the North.
Why does Sansa bow down to Dany? Number one, she
She
does
doesn't.
not.
She doesn't.
And she didn't
I'm not
mess that
saying-
up. She
I'm
was
not
very
saying-
realistic. What happens to North after?
Yeah.
We're not.
No, but
Sansa
then
is pragmatic. She
didn't-
knows if you looked at the faces of the people in the North as they're looking at Dany, they do not want to bow to this woman.
They don't.
They do not. The
Yeah.
North does not want to bow.
Dany's people don't want to hold the North for her either.
Yep.
They're
Yeah,
already
they've
making
already-
plans to leave.
Yeah, they're already like, we do not like this place. The dragons don't even want to stay
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So
Sansa was very smart in that. Sansa had the upper hand the whole time.
yeah, and she's very pragmatic about it.
Yeah.
She knows that the North belongs to her.
Sansa's
I'm
smarter
not
than
saying
Dany, too.
she's not, but I also don't think she's giving Dany a chance.
I think that she gave Dany a chance because I think she said, we are going to support you when you go to get the, in this fight against the White Walkers, when you go to get the Iron Throne, but I want to know what happens after that.
Yeah, and we can't. And Sansa's got to take care of her people. So she's not going to sacrifice the North and her people to support Dany till beyond, just as far as she gets Cersei off the throne. Then we're done.
Right, but so she's going to support. Yeah, no, I thought Sansa was really smart.
Yeah.
I felt like Dany was really manipulative.
She was very manipulative.
totally.
I care for your brother. I'm in love with him. He manipulated me with her eyebrows.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I do like Dany a lot. But I thought she was very manipulative in that scene.
No,
And
yeah.
Sansa is not one to be played at this point.
No,
Sansa-
not at all. She saw right through it.
Yeah, because Dany with her, who manipulated who. I mean, we watched season 7. And yeah, she did fall in love with Jon, but she is also, Dany is a leader. She knows if she takes the Iron Throne and loses half or even a third or a fourth of her people in that pursuit and the White Walkers come down, like what's the point of holding the Iron Throne?
Right.
She's very pragmatic. So to try to convince us that she came here out of pure love for Jon Snow, I don't believe that.
No, I think her bloodlust and for that throne is so much greater than her love of Jon Snow, which is why I think that when Jon Snow told her, she was not happy about it, and she won't be happy about it. I have no faith that she's going to come around on that.
I have no. I think that maybe if she loses a dragon or two, she might.
Because then she'll
feel vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But right now, she does not like that.
I think if Drogon goes down, then she'll, because I think the more vulnerable she'll feel, the more she'll want that allegiance, that alliance of the other Targaryen. And her strength is really her dragons.
But right now, she does not want that, and her love of Jon Snow doesn't even come close to her want to be sitting on that Iron Throne.
No, it's defined her entire life.
Yeah, her entire life is the throne. So Theon arrives and interrupts their little scene.
He got there very quickly.
He got there very quickly. Again, the time bending, whatever. But he and Sansa have a very emotional reunion, and he tells her that he wants to fight for Winterfell, and Dany looks kind of, wait a minute, you're telling her you want to fight for her, I'm your queen, you knelt to me, and you're not telling me you want to fight for me. And she had it on her face, like she knew, like he's pledging allegiance to Sansa, which I think on the heels of their conversation about what happens to the North was not what Dany.
Well, I feel like Dany just needed like a wake-up call. Like, you can't just come in here. Things are played a little bit differently. These have been established for a long time. Like, these people all know each other. You're a stranger. You can't just come in here and say, I'm the queen, and expect everybody to be happy about it.
The last time we had a Targaryen, it didn't go well.
Well, and she doesn't necessarily, even though she did do better, she's still not really treating Sansa like she's a major player, and Sansa is a major player.
Now
she was flattering her beauty in the first episode, and then in the second one, but we both love Jon so much, and now, and then she's like, no, Sansa actually like has people who are pledging allegiance to her. She is on my level a little bit here.
Right, exactly.
So we get Davos in the courtyard spooning out the soup to the men who aren't soldiers but who are definitely going to be. And we get reminded of Jilly. And Jilly is back, who we hadn't seen her. She wasn't in the first episode. But it was a good little reminder of like the human part of it, because she's a mother and she's like a well-liked character. But we get Dolores, Ed, and Tormund arriving to Winterfell. So I thought we were going to get scenes of them like trying to go around the White Walkers, and that was going to be like the action part of this episode. But we didn't have any action this episode. It was a very character-driven episode. I really loved it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was always just like we said, a reminder of like, here's everybody that you love, and they're all gonna die.
And there's gonna be so much action.
There's gonna be so much action. Yeah.
It was bittersweet.
It was bittersweet. But again, Tormund is our comic relief. He practically tackles Jon in the courtyard, and so Jon learns about the Umbers, poor little Ned Umber and Last Hearth, and they learn they only have until the sun comes up tomorrow before the White Walker army arrives. So we go straight to the War Council. Jon's giving his speech from the trailer, and they come up with the plan: take out the Night King, you defeat the entire army. Seems like lofty ambitions, but it's probably like their best course of action. The Night King will come for Bran, who's planning on being in the Godswood. The Night King wants an endless night. He wants to erase the world, and where he should start, as Samuel points out, is by erasing the world's memory, which is Bran. Theon, who I'm pretty sure is going to die in the next episode, because he offers himself and the Ironborn to Bran by saying, "I took this castle from you. Let me help you defend it now." I just don't think. I think we're going to have such a high death count next week, guys.
I think it's gonna be like 70% dead, 30% left.
Yeah, I
like
think that's
our
really
major
gonna be
characters.
We're gonna just wipe out more than half the cast.
Oh,
and
definitely.
This is when Dany tells Tyrion she wants him in the crypt, that he's too valuable to risk. Which, even if he does disobey her orders, that must have felt good at that moment because he was so sure he was going to get demoted. The dragons need to not be on the field. They need to be protecting Bran, which, is that going to be a strategic mistake?
It's interesting, but all along, I mean, of course, they now know that the dragons really and truly are vulnerable.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows how many other of those spears are
Right.
out there?
Right.
So,
What are their plans for the dragon that's now one of the dead? I mean, like,
They didn't even discuss it in the War
discuss
Council.
that at all.
Yeah.
Which is like, that would be like my thing.
But
like,
if the Night King's going to be riding him, which we can assume he probably is,
yeah.
then he will be in the Godswood, with the dragon. So it might be the best place for Drogon and Rhaegal to be, where they expect this undead Viserion is going to be. We did get some Tormund flirting with Brienne, which was kind of awkward. We are all gonna die, but at least we die together, with his little smile.
And the story about the dragon.
oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
Dragons,
So
That was awesome.
that was. So Jon abruptly leaves Dany again. She has no idea what's up, and the scene ends with Tyrion waiting to hear Bran's story. We go to the courtyard with Grey Worm and Missandei. She's trying to befriend Northerners, and they're like, "No, thank you." He basically lays down a plan for the rest of their lives, which makes me 100% positive he's going to die.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's dead. He's dead. He signed his death warrant with that.
I really hope she lives.
I hope she lives, though. Yeah.
So badly.
I love her. A nice Tracy Harry character. Jon and Sam are on the wall. There's a small ghost cameo, but nobody.
That he didn't.
He
They
was like,
don't
they didn't even
acknowledge
matter
it
that he
at
was
all.
there.
I know.
I was so upset. I was like,
Super
somebody
weird.
pet him.
Well, I also
But he's there.
wonder if he's now going to protect Sam.
I hope so. That'd be nice. I don't want him in the fray because he'll die immediately, like
John,
Summer.
and John has a dragon.
Yeah, Jon has a dragon. He's good.
Yeah.
Ghost has been replaced, I guess, as top
Well,
pet.
no, Ghost is letting Jon go.
Oh, this is so sad.
Maybe Ghost and Nymeria will run away together.
That'd be nice. I liked that. I like that Sam. Sam was trying to talk to Jon about whether or not Jon had talked to Dany, and Jon was not having it. But then Dolores Ed joins them, and he stands between them and says, "And now our watch begins." And it was this great season one callback.
Yeah.
That was really nice. And they suggest that Sam hides in the crypt, and he's like, "I've killed a Fen, I killed White Walkers, I killed,"
Right.
and then Dolores Ed is so funny. As if we need any more signs the world is ending. We need Sam talking
Yeah, it's
about
like, you need me up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he can't fight though.
He
so
can't fight.
at all.
It was like by chance
was
that he did all this.
lucky,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but he might have some sort of strategic thing that he's a smart guy. He's
Yeah.
well read. There might be something that he
Well,
recalls from his studies,
That's also,
like
he's always reminded me of the cowardly lion, who was brave, of course. And same thing, Samuel arrived in, the north at Castle Black and told everyone he was a coward. And then all through the seasons has proceeded to keep doing really
Yeah.
brave things.
yeah,
It's true. It's
yeah,
true.
exactly. He's not a coward by any means.
No.
Oh,
But I love.
He has poor self-image.
He does have poor self-image.
well,
But I
that's
love
because
the.
of his father.
Yeah,
Right.
the ending,
Right.
the ending shot though, the three of them standing on the wall of Winterfell, looking out, it was very much like they are the last of the Night's Watch. It was
When they
really,
started, reminiscing.
Yeah, but they're fallen allies. This entire episode is playing with our emotions.
Really, and the tension was building and building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was glad to have a comic relief in there.
Oh.
Yeah,
Different spots.
yeah, different spots. Yeah. Well, we get Tyrion and Jaime by the fire, where we get a little bit more comic
This was
relief.
the best part
When,
of the whole
when Tyrion says, "I wish
episode.
Father were here," I would love to see the look on his face when he learns his two sons are about to die defending Winterfell.
that whole scene was the best part of the whole episode.
That was-
and then
it was
the
great.
characters that kept on like coming in.
Yeah.
Too.
So they're joined by Podrick and Brienne first. After they have their little brotherly talk about the perils of self-betterment, Brian cautions Pod against drinking, and they both end up having a drink anyway. And then Davos comes in with Tormund, and Torlin's wildling swag is so underappreciated by this audience. They are not impressed by him at all. I think he's great.
God, he's the best.
He's like drinking his horn of milk and his
Like,
full
Yeah, talking with the giants.
Yeah, nursing from a giant. That's why he's so big and strong.
And he's just sitting there trying to
Yeah.
impress Brienne the whole time.
I'm totally
too.
trying to impress Brienne, and Jaime and Tyrion just keep looking at each other like, what is happening? And we get Arya and Hound on the wall, and they share a drink. And
I thought that was great.
it was a great little scene. And Sandor complains that Arya never used to shut up, and now she's a mute. And she wants to know why Sandor is there fighting for them. When was the last time you fought for anyone but yourself? And he looked at her and said, I fought for you, didn't I? It was like a good little scene. And Beric Dondarrion joins them, and he starts with his Lord of the Light nonsense, and we get some more comic relief when
Love
Sandor threatens to throw him over the side of the wall.
I was happy because he's the most optimistic of the fight. He's like, it's gonna be our day, and no one
Yeah.
else is going around like,
No, they're all like, we're gonna die. We're definitely until Terrence up goes, we could actually survive this,
Yeah,
and they all start cracking up.
Yeah, they all start cracking up. So Arya leaves them, and she goes down to a little storage area. She's practicing her archery when Gendry joins her. He delivers her weapon, which is a very impressive looking spear. Arya wants to know what the Red Woman did with Gendry when she took him. And she finds out that he was wanted for his blood, that he's Robert Baratheon's illegitimate son. And then she starts questioning Gendry about his prior experiences. And he like begrudgingly admits that he's been with a couple of women. And Arya in this scene is like so Arya. She's like very cool, kind of emotionless, but she's so in control. Just comes right out and is like, I don't want to die without never having experienced this. And just she knows what she wants. And they end up having like their last night on Earth hookup. Yeah. So then we go back to our motley crew by the fire, and Tyrion's pointing out that everyone there has fought the Starks at some point. And Brienne says, at least we will die with honor. And Tyrion says, I think we might live.
Yeah, that was the best part.
And it was really funny. And they start reminiscing about their previous battles. And Tyrion accidentally refers to Brienne as Sir Brienne. And Tormund points out the absurdity of her not being allowed the title because of her gender. And Jaime points out that any knight can make another knight and says he will prove it, kneel Lady Brienne. And then I cried a little bit.
It was the most emotional part.
It was an emotional moment from the show that I didn't even know I was waiting for.
No.
I was like, this is like something that I didn't even know I wanted from this show.
No, it was the best. It was definitely the best part of the whole episode.
She beamed.
She was
crying.
and I said
Yeah,
to
which
my
is
sister,
a clear indication that she's going to die.
Yeah, Tyrion says, Sir
No, she's
Brienne
gonna
of
die
Tarth, Knight of the
happy.
Seven Kingdoms, and she's beaming, and I'm like, oh,
she's gonna die happy, and even if all of those people die, at least she was a knight.
Yeah.
Even if nobody remembers she was knighted, at least she was
She
one.
was one.
And so I said, I was watching with my sister and I'm crying. She's like, are you crying? I'm like, yeah. I'm like,
This
look
show
how
all the
happy
time, though.
she is.
This show, like, it's your emotions. You're like happy, you're sad, you're moved, you're like, yes, they're
I
killing
try
this
not
guy.
to have emotions
Yeah.
during it though, because you
It's
know they're all
hard.
gonna die.
They're all gonna die. So we go back to the Witchfell courtyard, and speaking of people who are all gonna die, House Mormont is bickering. Lyanna wants to fight. Jorah wants her in the crypts because she's the future of the house. So we know that House Mormont is doomed, right? Like their line is ending next episode, pretty sure. Sam gives Jorah his family's sword, admits that he can't hold it upright. Then we go back to the fire where they have run out of wine, and Tyrion suggests they have a song. And we learn that Podrick has a surprisingly lovely voice. And this, I said earlier, it reminded me of Reigns of Castamere when they were singing before the Battle of Blackwater Bay in episode 2.9. The song plays over the next montage, which shows Sansa and Theon drinking and talking, and there's this little like shot of Theon's face where he's looking kind of like poignant, and I was like, oh, Theon's gonna die. Arya and Gendry are, just relaxing. The Sandy and Grey Worm kiss again. Grey Worm's going to die, and Jorah's riding out into the field. And then we go to Danny and Jon in the crypts. And Danny asks who the statue is. Jon tells her it's Lyanna Stark. And Dany is confused because she's always heard that her brother was this good guy, and she's like, but I don't understand why he would have kidnapped this woman and raped her. I always heard he was this great person. And Jon tells her the truth, and he says, my real name is Aegon Targaryen. And just like hearing him say his name for the first time felt like such a huge moment. And Dany's immediately like, no, you were told this by your best friend and your brother.
Yeah, Dany
Yeah.
totally undermined him. Like Jon
Yeah.
Snow would tell her this unless it wasn't real.
Well,
She obviously doesn't know Jon.
they've been like together for like how long now?
Well, the
I think
time
not that
the
long.
time period.
We don't really know. We don't really know. But I don't feel like it's been a long time. They've been together 5 years. We just don't realize it. And then that scene ends if with Dany saying, if it were true, it would make you the last male heir of House Targaryen. You would have a claim to the Iron
And she
Throne.
was not happy.
She was not happy, but then the horns of war sounds.
Yeah.
And the others have arrived. The White Walkers are there with their whites. Jon, Dany, and Tyrion exchange looks and get into position. And the episode ends on a big row of White Walkers on dead horses. And the song over the end was sung by Florence from Florence and the Machine. It was the same song that Podrick had done. So
I thought
Was.
really that was Florence.
it was Florence and the
Yeah.
Machine.
Because I usually like them, and I was like, oh, shut this off.
Oh, I liked it.
I
I thought it was really
yeah.
haunting. Yeah, I liked it a lot. So there's no title yet for episode 3. They're not releasing the titles until they
Until,
release the
like,
episode.
yeah.
Because even when I go onto HBO now at 9 o'clock, it still said
It doesn't have
episode
it.
69. So they're not releasing them until later. But we know, because we read Entertainment Weekly, we know it is the longest battle in cinematic history. So, and in movie history, in television
more so
history,
than Helm's Deep.
it's the
Lord of the
longest
Rings.
one in cinematic history. It took them 55 night shoots to complete. It was physically draining for the cast and the crew, and we expect a lot of characters will not survive. So, does anybody want to have some predictions for episode 3? Did we cover everybody who we think is going to die? Are there deaths that we expect that we have not mentioned?
Oh, there always are. There
Yeah.
will be people we didn't see.
So, what about the dragons? Do the dragons make it out of episode 3?
Questionable.
I kind of hope they fall just so that Dany gets knocked down even more. I'm like Cersei. My fight is like knock Dany down.
No,
I don't
but they
care.
still need to get Cersei. I don't think, of course, now. So Dany, I thought her reaction to Jon in the crypt was spot on. I mean, it was she immediately got to the heart of it. She looked very unhappy, but that was realistic. She had no time to
Yeah,
process it. I
she
mean,
had
I
a
thought-
reason to be
Right.
skeptical
So, and then of
about
course
it.
we don't get to see. But one of the things I'm wondering watching it is, did anyone tell Dany, at least I'm assuming this is part of the lore that the show will stick to, is you made Jon Snow the dragon rider for Rhaegal. The dragon and Jon are bonded now. Did you know that?
Well, and they said actually in the inside of the episode for episode 1 that the showrunners, one of them, I can't remember which one's which, did say that only Targaryens can ride dragons.
They've done that
So
too.
so they yeah.
Yeah, so I
Well,
think
that's why when like to just go back to what you were saying is like that was proof for Jon.
Yeah,
to
so
be
I-
like,
so
I
I-
rode your dragon. So
yeah, so I think that's it, but also I'm wondering if that's going to be an important part going on. If Drogon falls, there's still a dragon.
but it's not Jon.
But it's
It is
not,
Jon's dragon.
yeah.
It's Drogon
Yeah.
falls and Rhaegal's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying
Yes,
it's not Jon.
she's not the rider.
Not
for
that we want
Rhaegal.
Drogon to fall.
No, but anyway,
sacrifices
it is-
must be made.
As you're hugging into your
I
chest.
know. But it's I don't
Don't
know,
get
it's
it
setting
set.
us up for interesting dragon subplots.
Yeah.
And the previews, I mean, we don't see. I mean, I've been thinking Bran was probably going to go sit in the Godswood, but no previews of that. No previews of the Night King flying in, which he has to do. So they're really keeping us in the dark.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah. No, he wasn't shown at all in that line.
No.
He was the last time we saw him. He was on a dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
There was
Yeah.
somebody on a dragon in the preview.
Yeah.
There was a dragon.
There was a dragon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to
we
pause
didn't
it,
see
but
any
I couldn't
dragons.
tell.
I
In
agree.
the preview for next week, there
Yeah.
was somebody
you
riding
see
a
one,
dragon.
but yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah.
tell who
Yeah.
it was or what
So
dragon it
could have
was.
been. Yeah.
So I was reminded though, or realized when I went in Internet Movie Database this morning to see if they had given a title to episode 3. They have art for this season that's Drogon's head as the Iron Throne, which I thought was kind of an interesting choice. So it's Drogon's head, but it's the Iron Throne. And I didn't know if that is there foreshadowing in the artwork,
Well,
or is
isn't
there?
Is it just a dragon? I
No, it's
just
Drogon.
how can you tell?
Because Drogon's the only black one.
I don't know how you can tell them
But
apart
it's just
either.
for the,
No, but
no, the
'cause-
color, you're right.
Yeah,
it is
Drogon's
the
the only
color.
black one. Rhaegal's green. Rhaegal's like emerald.
I haven't paid that much attention to them to actually notice the differences between
If
them.
you look back at the episode from one, they're
Yeah,
very
it's even-
different.
yeah.
I mean, they actually, I think they made it more pronounced because last year when Viserion was taken down, people were like, was that Rhaegal or was it Viserion? Because their colors were too close. But Drogon has always been way darker than the other
Yeah,
two.
yeah. Okay, so, they don't do anything by chance, so.
Well, and I was wondering too, when we see that shot of King's Landing and the lion over, if there's going to be a point in later on in the season where we see the Targaryen dragon over the throne, or if we see the Stark direwolf over the throne, or if we see just a throne in flames. Like if the
Right.
credit sequence will change and we'll be like, yeah, I don't know, maybe a Kraken. Who knows what Euron's got planned?
I know, Euron's out there.
Well,
Based on what you said about the battles, I wonder if it will go for 2 episodes.
Well, I think they said it's a single battle, like not scene, but like a single battle shot. So it is an hour and a half long episode though.
That's true.
But there's never been another battle in cinematic
Short
history that's
episode.
long.
Hmm?
This was a short episode. It was less than an hour.
It was just about an hour.
It was just about an hour.
It
Well,
was
we watched it this
less.
morning. It was just about an hour.
It was
like
a little
58 minutes.
Yeah, it was like, yeah. but
It
not
seemed like
full
a
hour.
pretty conventional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
know,
they're
but it
pretty
was
standard
short for the
size.
fact that we only have 6.
Yeah,
But
the
the
next
last
four
the last
are an
four
hour
are
and
going
a
to be
half
almost
each.
an hour and a half each.
The last 4 are going to be a little movie each.
Yeah, the last 4 are going to be very stressful for us all. So I guess we'll see you guys back here for our recap of episode 3, which we're sure we'll bring a box of tissues. And have a good week, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.